Alright guys, so in this video we'll be discussing how stock forms a bottom. We'll only be using volume as an indicator whether a stock has completed forming a bottom. We'll be going over with 3 examples in greater details, step by step. So here we go. Alright, so part of this strategy involves 4 steps. I'm going to take you guys through all the 4 steps in recognizing whether a stock has bottomed or not. So here we have a stock that has been in a downward trend for quite some time now. Step number 1, recognizing that there's a lot of heavy sell-off volume that you're gonna see initially, right? So we're seeing it here throughout this period. Alright, so the step number 2 is you want to start noticing when the sell-off volume has started drying up. So that seems to be the case over here, right? So in these areas you're starting to notice the sell-off volume has already started drying up. Now there are a couple of places where you still see heavy sell-off, but the stock is trying to test this level again, but after that you're seeing a lot more lower sell-off volume, right? Step number 3, during this, I guess you can see a consolidation period, you will start noticing a lot more up day volume, right, showing up here. So that's step number 3. You will start noticing a lot more buy side volume showing up during this consolidation period. Step 4, this is the key, and this is, I would say, the most important step for confirmation the stock has already bottomed. Whenever you start noticing the stock catches a momentum to the upside, whenever there's a pullback, the sell-off volume is much lower. Again, stock catches a momentum, stock retraces on a much lower volume, declining volume. Again, catches a momentum, pulls back, much lower volume. That is the key for the strategy. That is a key confirmation right there that tells us the stock has bottomed. And as the stock keeps moving higher, you will notice the up day volume is more and more dominant. Heavy buy side volume showing up throughout this upside move, and you're noticing a lot less sell-off volume. So part of the strategy would be when the stock is to take a I guess to retrace a bit, this would be a good entry point to add to your current positions, as we already know the stock has already bottomed. Example number 2, same concept. The stock has been trending lower for quite some time now. Seeing a lot heavier sell side volume. So that's step number 1, recognizing the sell-off volume is heavier at this stage. Step number 2, you want to start recognizing the sell-off volume starts shrinking, starts drying up, especially relative to the buy side volume, which is a lot more heavier now. Step number 3, you want to start recognizing when the buy side volume starts showing up more frequently, as that seems to be the case over here when the stock takes a momentum run up. That's step number 3. Alright, step number 4, this is the most important key concept within the strategy. This is when you will start noticing a lot more buy side volume showing up, a lot heavier buy side volume is a lot more dominant than the sell side volume. So over here, when the stock catches a momentum run up, you see heavier buy side volume here, right? Stock retraces, a lot lower sell-off volume relative to what you saw over here, right? This range here, again, a lot heavier on this side, but whenever the stock now takes a pullback, lot lower sell-off volume. Again, the stock takes a pullback, lot lower sell-off volume relative to what you saw in the past, right? Stock again catches the momentum, heavy buy side volume relative to the sell side, right? Throughout this consolidation period, you're seeing a lot more buying taking place here relative to the sell side. This again confirms the stock has already bottomed. So when, I guess, during this consolidation period, if you want to get in, this would be a good confirmation to get in. Or if the stock was to have, let's say, a deeper pullback, as you already know, the stock has bottomed, so this will look good from a risk to reward perspective. All right, so one of the things I would mention, a lot of you may be wondering why the stock has rebounded from this level. How would we know the stock is gonna hit an exact bottom at a certain level? Now, I'll be covering this topic in future videos. We'll be discussing the support levels. So whenever the stock has been trending down, you got to look at specific support levels, and then you look at the whole volume confirmation whether the stock has bottomed. In that way, the future video will tie into this current strategy. Alright, so what, part of the strategy, one of the mistakes I would want to avoid is during this, I guess, bottoming process. From time to time, you will notice on occasions heavy sell side volume showing up, right, relative to some buy side volume, right? What I would say is this is noise, ignore it. This could be just profit taking, or it could be just based on some temporary news. Obviously, I would keep an eye on the fundamentals just to make sure nothing major has changed with the company. But overall, I would ignore this because you want to look at the overall picture, what the stock has been doing for the past few months, right? You don't want to get distracted by one or two heavy sell side days, unless, like I said, the company, something major has changed with the company structure, or some major news has come up where the stock can change directions from there. Alright guys, example number 3. I really want to drive this point home. Really want to make it clear about the strategy, so that's why I'm just doing one more example, just in case if the other 2 examples weren't clear enough. And the more examples we do, the better insight we get from this. So here again, same concept. The stock has been trending lower for quite some time now. You will notice step number 1, you got to recognize that there's heavy sell side volume taking place, right? Especially towards the bottom portion right over here. You'll see a lot heavier sell side volume. That's step number 1, recognizing that, okay, when this is taking place, there's still a lot of heavy sell off volume. The stock has not bottomed, of course, yet. This is just the first step in recognizing that, right? Second step, we gotta start throughout this consolidation period, when the stock, does a consolidation, you want to start noticing that the sell side volume starts dropping, right, relative to what you saw over here, right? It's getting lower and lower. That's step number 2, recognizing that sell side volume has been shrinking, right? Step number 3, you got to start recognizing there's a lot more buy side volume kick in throughout this consolidation period, right? Throughout this period, you'll start noticing a lot more buy side volume kicking in as well, right? So lower sell off volume, but higher, and even the frequency of the buy side volume, right? On the up days, the volume tends to be higher, right? That's another way to look at it. Step number 4, whenever you notice the stock has a pullback here, the sell-off volume is decreasing, right? Again, in this scenario here, sell-off volume is decreasing. Whenever there's a pullback, even a minor pullback, volume is decreasing. Volume is decreasing. I mean, there is of course one or two, but like I said, this is one of the things to avoid. Don't get distracted by one or two events. It could be just profit taking, but you got to look at the overall bigger picture. Has the stock been showing the other the total 4 steps as a confirmation when the stock bottoms, right? Again, pull back, lower volume relative to what you see on the buy side, right? Buy side volume is still very heavy, a lot more dominant buy side volume here, right? Throughout this period, you'll notice a lot more buying taking place and a lot lower sell-off volume. So when the stock does another, let's say another pullback, this would be a good entry point to get in terms of the risk to reward perspective. Alright guys, so if you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and please comment down below if you're seeing the same patterns in any other stocks. We can have a discussion over this. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one.